What is that one habit you've been wanting to quit, but you never seem to be able to quit it? And when I ask you this question, there's probably one habit that came out for you. And it's one of those habits where it's kind of like you feel like it's not a big deal or it doesn't hurt, or like you tell yourself it doesn't hurt. It's not a big deal. Other people are doing it, so why can't I do it too? Right? And yet you know that it really, really affects your mental health and affects how you live your life. And you know that that next level of the person that you want to become, the next version of yourself that you want to step into, that person will not be doing this. So, and this is the thing, right? Like sometimes we think these habits is not a big deal. And yet it is one, like there is that one habit that you know if you just quit it, it will really change your life so much. So for me personally, recently I've decided to go on a drama detox. So I've always been someone who is kind of like on and off with watching dramas, but when I do watch it, I like to binge watch a lot. And there's specific shows I really like. However, every time after binge watching or watching those shows, I just do not feel that good about myself because I just feel so tired the next day. Because sometimes, because I'm watching those shows, I end up sleeping very late and I wake up a lot later. Or actually, I don't wake up later, I just wake up at the same time. But I'll feel so tired and have no energy and not being able to think clearly and really do work in a way that is where I am functioning at my optimal level, where I'm thinking at a much higher level, right? Because I'm just feeling so tired at the end of the day. And so for me personally, I know that watching drama is one of those habits that I really want to quit. And very interestingly, a lot of people also come to me wanting like having those, I would say like kind of like obsessive or like addictive behaviors that they also want to quit themselves. It could be vaping, watching Netflix, scrolling on social media, drinking, eating, like binge eating, right? There's a lot of things that we can tend to get ourselves into with those habits. And this is the thing. It's like, even though you feel like, oh, it doesn't hurt, other people are doing it, so why can't I do it too? This is a thing. This is a difference. If you know, like to determine whether or not you should quit it. If it's no longer an activity just for fun or just for leisure, but instead you're using it as a way for you to numb out how you actually feel, and you're using it as a way for you to feel numb and escape and like and eventually it just becomes a habit because you're just so familiar with it, right? You're not doing it for the sake of enjoying the entertainment of it, but instead you're doing it just for the sake of numbing out and or escaping. That's when you know this is probably a behavior that you want to quit. So we all have that thing, whatever it is. And I also know that, like, just for me personally, I tend to be someone who does things in a very intensive way. In my astrology birth chart, I actually have a lot of planets in Scorpio. And so Scorpio tends to be the personality that's like very addictive and very obsessive and intense in a way. And so like I carry that. And so knowing that doing things in a moderate way might not work for me, then I had to be very disciplined with how I choose to spend my time and very disciplined if I notice that, okay, this is the one habit that I do not want, right? If I notice that this is the one habit that I do not want to have. And I'm going to talk about different ways of what I did for myself to be on this drama detox, as well as what I've helped with work with a lot of people to help them get over their own addictive behaviors. Okay, the first thing to really notice for yourself, like this is so powerful, is that and this is like probably the most important, is you have to remove the shame that you have around this behavior. When something becomes an addiction, it can like shame can come in to a place where we start judging ourselves, we shame ourselves, we think that it's something that's so small. Why can't I just quit? I've been trying to quit so much. And it becomes almost like this, like this shameful secret that you keep with yourself, because it's what shame does. When you feel ashamed of a habit that you have, then we hide ourselves from it. And what will help us and what will help you release the shame is to let yourself be witnessed. And so connection is so important. I remember a while ago, like I think it was about, yeah, a while ago when I was struggling with this idea of watching drama and feeling shame around it. I was working with a coach at the time, and because I was watching drama so much, I binge watched it, and it got to a point where I missed my coaching call with her. And I was so ashamed of that. And it got to a place where I would just like hide and not do work and almost get into this place where I'm just numb about everything. And eventually I did get on that session with her and I told her what happened and I just started crying. Like I felt so much shame around that behavior that I had. And honestly, that's all I needed. That's all I needed, like for my coach at that time to hold that space for me to see that, oh, okay, it no longer has power over me anymore. Someone else has witnessed the shame. It doesn't have to be this secret, shameful behavior anymore. And that has felt so freeing. And then eventually over time, it's about really understanding why I have this behavior. Right. I know that especially when it comes to watching Netflix or like watching shows and things like that, because I work with a lot of people on this as well. Interesting how like my own, like what I'm working on is also what my people also tend to come to me with to work on. So the people who tend to watch Netflix and like see it, let it become something that's more obsessive to a point where they want to quit, usually there's a reason why you're doing that, right? And for me, what I found is that I like at the time my life was did not feel like I had so much frustration and I was not happy with my life. And so through watching shows and watching dramas, I felt like I was the hero of the story. I feel like there's something exciting and something interesting that's happening in my life and made me feel and it helped me achieve a type of need that my body was seeking and that my body was desiring, right? And so I found my way of giving myself that type of pleasure and that type of feeling through watching drama. And for other people, I have this one client, she really struggled with vaping. And what she realizes that when she's vaping, she feels so free. Like it's almost like her body can finally relax and she felt like she has no problem and she can just relax for a second and just chill for a second because her real life is there's so much pressure, there's so much burden. She feels like she has to always be the one that is leading, that's taking care of things. There's so many things on her to-do list. She's working with so many things. There's so much pressure. And so through vaping, she found her way of feeling at peace. And there's nothing shameful around that. Do you see? Our body is just doing its best with what it knows how. Like our body is intelligent in a way where it seeks for things that we lack just in a different way, right? And it seeks for habits and certain things for us to give us what we're lacking and what we're missing out and what we truly desire. And so the moment that we can remove shame, then we can really understand what is the reason why we are doing this habit. Why is the reason why it's so hard for us to quit and why we're here, right? Having this behavior. So the first thing that you really want to do is to remove that layer of shame and let yourself connect with other people and let yourself be seen. Okay, now, so shame is like a very important part. And actually, honestly, a lot of the times, once you can remove that shame, you will feel so much free by it. And you will feel like it's no longer something that is there to hold you back. Like, I don't think that watching drama is something that holds me back. I used to think that, but I no longer think that. Like, I honestly believe that I can watch drama all the way to success if I want. Right? And now I'm just choosing to be on this detox from a different perspective where I'm no longer shaming myself. I just want to quit because I want to quit. Like, I don't like how I feel after I watch drama. That's just what it is. So, right, but the shame has already been removed, and I can decide whatever I want. I can choose to have the kind of experience of what I want. Okay, so the first part, how to quit it for good, is you have to remove the shame, right? Really understand your body's intelligence and the reason why you are doing that. Okay, now here is the second way that will help you quit your addictive habit. Okay, the second thing is we want to connect this habit with pain instead of with pleasure. The most survival instincts of our brain has three motivations always. Number one is it will always want to seek for pleasure, and sometimes it can come in the form of that dopamine hits. Number two, it always want to avoid pain. It wants to run away from what is painful. Number three, it wants to save energy. And sometimes, and saving energy looks like you repeating what you're familiar with. You continue to repeat the pattern of what you've used to. And so if something has become a habit, it's saving energy. Your body wants to keep on repeating it again and again and again. And if it happens to give you that dopamine hit, say scrolling on social media or watching drama, like it gives you that dopamine hit, then your brain remembers it as something that's pleasurable, something that saves energy. So why not keep on repeating it? And what we want to do instead, we want to change up this pattern and connect this habit with pain instead with pleasure. There is a reason why you want to quit this habit. There is a reason why, right? For me, I feel like crap the next day. If I sleep too late, I feel like crap. And the next day, I just felt like I have no energy. I feel so tired. I feel like I'm in a bad mood. And sometimes, like, sleep is very important to me. And sometimes this lingers for like a couple more days or the whole week, even. And the whole week, I just felt tired. And when I'm tired, I can't be productive. I can't function at my best self. And with my work, I have to think critically as well. I have to really listen to my intuition and to act from it and to let my energy flow. And when I'm not doing those things, when I sleep very late, binge watch shows, and wake up tired and feeling like crap, it's very hard for me to feel connected to my intuition. It's very hard for me to tap into that most powerful part of me. And so the pain is, notice how like I will make myself remember, like I literally had a list and I wrote out exactly what are some of the pain that it makes me feel. I will feel so bad afterwards. I no longer feel shame because I worked through that. So it's like I will just feel crappy. I will just feel tired in general and I can't think properly. And I just don't like that feeling. Right. And so remember, I'll relate this habit with that feeling like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna feel like crap if I watch this. It's going to feel very bad. And you want to connect it with something that is painful for you. And so, what is that habit for you? What is the kind of pain that that habit gives you? Is if it makes you feel disappointed about yourself afterwards, if it does not give you joy, if you feel like it's like, I don't know, it might be like a waste of time and you feel like, oh, like so frustrated about you having this habit, if it's costing you money, right? Some things might cost you a lot of money to do. And so those things, if that's giving you pain, like you really want to focus on that and to connect this behavior with something that's painful for you instead of pleasure. And what you also want to focus on is you want to focus on the long-term effect of being able to do this habit on a regular basis, right? You might think it's not a big deal and you might think it doesn't hurt. For me, I used to tell myself it's just one episode. Like it doesn't hurt, it's just 30 minutes, it's just 1 hour. That's fine. But guess what? it's a binge, it's like an addiction, right? And so with those types of behaviors, what happens is one cookie turns into two cookies, and then you end up eating the whole pack. One show turns into 3 episodes, and then before you realize you spend 5 to 10 hours just watching the show. That's what our brain will give us a excuse for us to continue. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an addiction, right? Our brain will give us that a reason. And most of the time, the reason is somewhere along the lines of it doesn't hurt, it's not a big deal, it doesn't matter. Because in that moment, all our brain could think about is that short-term dopamine hit. But in that moment, we're not remembering the long-term effects of it, which is long-term effect on your health. For me, like my eyesight is going to really, really mess up my eyesight. It's going to mess up my mental health, my emotional health, how I feel. The next day, I probably will be too tired to exercise, so it's going to make me not exercise. It's going to help me, it's going to let me lose my momentum. So I can go on and on about how it can affect me long term. So how does this habit affect you long term instead of focusing on that instant hit, right? And for you, it might not be a specific habit. It could be a specific reaction. Let's say if you always feel triggered by something that your parent says, like you always feel triggered by that, and you always react in a way where you just explode, and that has become a habit for you, right? In that moment, it might feel good to respond that way, to react that way, because that's what you've the pattern you develop for yourself. It feels good, right? In that moment, if you like shut people down, but then the long-term effect of it is it really affects your relationship with your family. It makes you feel like crap afterwards. If it makes you feel like there's something wrong with you or something wrong with your relationship, I want you to think about the long-term effect of every single day or regularly. If you continue to do this habit, how it will affect you in a month. How will this affect you in a year if this continues? Because the long-term effect of this one habit is not small at all. This is what I want to offer for you. It is a big deal. And even when in that moment, your brain tells you it's not a big deal, it is. That's the reason why you want to quit it, right? And we want to really make these things surface to really look at this from like a very serious way. Because sure, there are so many things in our life that's like, I can quit. I also don't have to. It doesn't really affect my life so much. But you really need to see the opportunity cost of it, like really see what is costing you. Without the time spent watching drama at night, what might have been created during your evening time instead every night? Like every single night, if you have extra 2 to 3 hours every single night for 1 week, think about how that would help you maybe to be able to think differently, to maybe you will try a different hobby, maybe you will connect more with your loved ones. Maybe you will even start a side hustle or read more books. Now, think about the long-term effects of doing that, having 2 to 3 hours of extra time and energy every single day for one whole month. Because it's not the same. Do you see the return that you get is not the same? It is a 360 transformation that you can potentially get. It is a shift in your reality, jumping from someone who have this addictive behavior to someone who doesn't have this behavior at all. Because right now, a lot of your time, you are spending your day thinking about how you can quit this behavior. We're spending your day and a lot of your focus and your energy on this one behavior, trying to quit it. Now, if you have suddenly become the person who doesn't even struggle with this, right? Like alcoholics, people who struggle with alcohol is always thinking about how to quit drinking. They're like their lives revolves around alcohol. They're like trying to quit. They're thinking about drinking all the time. That's what they spend their energy on. Now, someone who is not even thinking about drinking at all, who doesn't even have this problem, that person is thinking about other types of things in your life. That person is focused on other things. That person is not even thinking about not wanting to drink. Do you see a difference? So it's not you getting better over time, step by step. It's a complete reality shift. It's a complete upgrade, a 360 change on your life and what you're available to and what you can create for yourself. This is exactly what I tell my clients and what has made me decide to do a detox. Because the hardest things to quit are the things that you keep telling yourself is not a big deal. Those are the hardest things to quit. And yet, those just might just be the ones that if you do a detox completely from it, you will be able to upgrade your entire life to a different level. So really see what is costing you and really notice how does it affect other areas of your life? Like once you quit this habit, how does it affect your relationship? How does it affect your family? How does it affect your work? How does it affect your business? How does it affect how you live your life and how you show up day to day? It's just one habit. It's so much more than one habit. The next thing that you want to think about for yourself is start to pay attention to specific trigger points that activate this pattern, right? So there's a certain environment that we go to. So for example, for me, I know that every time after lunch, I get into this more groggy or like kind of like a little bit of a food coma feeling after lunch. And so after lunch, then it's very likely after lunch and after my dinner, it's very likely for me to pick a show and just watch one episode. That's like what I used to do, right? Watch one episode. I know that those are the trigger points, and that's the kind of environment that will trigger this pattern. So, what is it for you? Maybe for you, it's every day after work, after your meal, or maybe it is every day after dinner, right? Maybe it's when you come home from work, you grab that glass of wine, and it might feel like it's not a big deal. Or it's like you come home from work when you're just by yourself, then you take that smoke, right? You think it's not a big deal, but there's a specific trigger point that activates that. So what is the environment that triggers it? So first notice what's the environment that will make you want to do it. And then you want to have a specific plan in place to help you break that circuit. So you don't want to continue your brain to continue to repeat the same thing again. And the first thing that you can always do for yourself, for you to break that circuit, is first of all to just breathe. You want to take a deep breath in. Oh, you really breathe into your body. And in the moment that you breathe into your body, it helps you come back to the present moment and come back to your breath. And reminding yourself that, oh, okay, I'm here. Let me breathe into it. And actually, a lot of the times that the craving, that craving feeling of like wanting to do the habit, the craving feeling is going to show up as a sensation that you feel in your body. And so in that moment, if we can breathe into our body, like breathe into it, it will release the tension around that craving to help you find your presence, to help you be here again, come back to the present moment again. Right. And then you can redecide. So breathing is so important. At least take in 3 to 5 deep breathing exercises to help you come back to your present. And then what you want to do is you want to replace it with another activity. And usually see if you can find an activity that helps you connect to other people. So connection is very important. When we start to engage in those behaviors, it's because we're just by ourselves, especially when there's a lot of shame around it, then like we don't want to let other people see us like that, right? And so if you can break that circuit and replace it with a different kind of activity, such as right now for me, like after my meals, I will go for a walk because it helps me digest and it helps me move my body, get the energy moving. And that's like my way of active recovery, my way of taking a break before I start my next task. It has helped me so much. So what is and like when I go on a walk, right, it helps me connect back to nature and just connects back to like the fact that I'm living, I'm breathing. This is my story. This is my life. I'm so much more present here, right? So find something that helps you connect with people, connect with your passion, connect with what you're interested in, and bonus points if it's something that can help you that's moving. It's if it's like an active activity because those things tend to help you so much more. And so you want to create instead you want to create a new pattern, right? So it's like every time after my meal, I go on a walk. Or every time the moment you come home, you put on your gym clothes and you go exercise. That's a new habit that you create for yourself to help you break that circuit and create a new habit that you want your brain to start thinking about. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about is really helping you. It's about changing your identity of how you see yourself. So, like what I said before, if you're someone who struggles with alcohol, for example, then your whole life revolves around alcohol. Even when you think about not wanting to drink, you're like constantly telling yourself, I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink. I shouldn't be drinking. Oh my gosh, I want to drink, but I shouldn't be doing it. Your mind is still focused on alcohol. Do you see? Even when you tell yourself that, I'm not gonna shop today. I'm not gonna buy things. I'm not gonna buy things. Let me just take a look, but I'm not gonna buy. You are still thinking about shopping. You're still thinking about buying things. And so you want to think about someone who doesn't struggle with this behavior. What is that person thinking about? Right? Like if I'm the person who doesn't have this habit, who doesn't struggle with this addictive behavior, then what are they thinking about in their life instead? How do they use their spare time? Because they're going to be thinking about different things. They're not even worried about drinking or about those behaviors. They might be, I don't know, just for example, they might be reading a book, or they might be going out for a walk. They might be focusing instead on their work, or they might be focusing instead on their family. They might be focusing instead on maintaining their health and going to yoga classes at night, right? Whatever it may be, or they're like learning a new hobby for themselves. They're like enjoying the fun of that, right? So think about how would that person think and what would that person focus on? Again, it's not about trying not to think about it because you trying not to think about it is still you thinking about it. Do you see? It's not about you trying not to think about it, but it's about shifting your focus completely to focus on what actually makes you come alive, what actually is interesting in your life that you want to focus on. That's the big difference. And when you can become the person who thinks differently, that's how you change your identity of how you see yourself. Okay, so I hope that this has helped you. I think one thing that is very important with these kind of addictive behaviors is that it really doesn't matter if it's because like whenever we think about addictions, people tend to relate it to alcohol or drugs, things like that. But it can be something that's very simple, such as watching drama, scrolling on social media, that you also want to quit for yourself. For some people, it is being too busy. Like they literally have things that they're doing all the time, and that might not, and like because of it, they feel like they're always like grinding and then crashing and grinding and crashing, right? That might be their addictive behavior with feeling addicted to work or feeling addicted to being so busy all the time. So whatever that is for you, it's just that like with those, like with drugs and things like that, those things tend to be more shamed upon. But honestly, there are a lot of things like any type of habit it can become addiction when you use it as a way for you to numb out instead of like feeling the buzz and like not be able to feel instead of using it as a way for like your true nourishment and true pleasure, then it becomes something that's an addiction. So let's unshame how you feel around this specific habit first. And then I hope that the tips I have provided you today to really think about addiction differently and how you can start to shift yourself all those experiences. This, if you've been having this habit for a while, this will feel like a journey for you, but know that it is actually possible to quit this behavior for good. It takes your willingness to do it. It takes commitment, and it takes like you truly letting yourself be seen in a powerful way. All right, you got this. I believe in you. Have an amazing day. I will talk to you next week. Bye.